This GOVX 200 Betting Picks 2025 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Rhythm is giving away a $250 future and throwing a March Madness party. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details.
Drivers, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Never lifting until we see God or a checkered flag. It is, of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, and today, in the midst of tons of stuff to talk about, we also have to squeeze in our Xfinity picks for the week. Of course, the Truck Series off, and it is just the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series this weekend, which means we get a full episode dedicated to those who drive in the Xfinity Series and the GOVX at Phoenix Raceway, our first track that it doesn't have left and right turns and speeds of over 6,000 miles an hour, Cody.
Yeah, absolutely. Our first normal, quote unquote, traditional oval, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, first normal race of the season. Pretty excited for it. Xfinity, very, very kind to us last week. Really, we had a pretty good week overall. So love that. And yeah, ready to do it again this week in Phoenix.
Ready to do it again this way. Man, we got Ash already checking in, giving his picks. We'll probably talk about a couple of these ones on there. And then, man, Ash, you've already jumped the books early on in this one. Andrew, books top being cowards to give us Xfinity top 10s. Hey, I'll tell you what, Cody, we have said a lot of things about a lot of books, but the fact that we are getting now consistent Xfinity top 10s, let's rejoice.
Yeah, it's baby steps. We're getting there. So we're going to talk about some top 10s today. Bet365 has them. Hard Rock has them if you've got Hard Rock. So a couple of places. ESPN Bet did put them up after practice and qualifying last week. So obviously they changed from the odds we talked about on the show, but you had the option late at least. So we're getting there, right? It's baby steps, and we didn't even used to ever have them. We got them like one time on a super speedway. Great. But yeah, we're getting them now. So we are very thankful for that. And again, pretty good odds, much like we had last week. So love that. Willow checking in, says they'll be there at the at Phoenix Raceway this weekend. Let's go. Ty Gibbs fan, I believe Willow is.
You know, I think that there's flights that actually go out from here to Arizona somewhere. I should probably look into jumping on one of those flights and just showing up. I don't just randomly show up at the Phoenix Speedway or Raceway and see if I can get in.
I like it.
I do too. Speaking of getting in, you can get in good by getting some of our fun merch that's going on in the merch store right now. You can gear up for March, which is happening now with Merch Madness. Promo code Madness. You're going to get 20% off of the SGPN store. You're not going to get the SGPN store. You're going to get 20% off of whatever's in there. So if you want to go get yourself a nice Racing Gambling Podcast mug, a nice Racing Gambling Podcast hoodie to go wear out to those races that you are at, they're definitely there, and you can get 20% off now with the code Madness. Get in now before the promo code is done, and yeah, you'll look great out on the track with a Racing Gambling Podcast hoodie or shirt.
Absolutely.
I know that I bought my daughter one. I think I've already told this story once before, but that's what happens when you get old. You just tell stories on, yeah. But I bought my daughter one, and she wears it to school now, and her friends and her teachers, I don't think they fully understand why she is wearing a gambling podcast hoodie to school, to high school. But listen, it makes for great, just great advertising.
Bit surprised that she gets away with that, but hey, whatever works.
Hey, look, there's no uniform in there. It's all whatever you want to wear. So gotta love it. Any chance of getting one sent to the UK? Ash, that's a good question.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that. I'll check with Jake and see what I don't know what the shipping policy is for overseas, but yeah, we'll let you know. Hit us up offline and we'll look into it.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be that. So, all right, there is a ton to get to. I kind of knocked out the merch store earlier, but there's some rulings that came down, Cody. Not the political ones. There's actually rulings that came down in NASCAR that have some pretty heavy impact, and not the least of which our 19 car, buddy.
Yeah, so some big ones. First of all, I just want to apologize for my voice today. A little bit of a head cold, so if I get a little scratchy, yeah, that's why. So I'm going to try and not talk too much today is what I told Rod. He laughed because he knows that's not really possible. But, yeah, JGR, Chase Briscoe, they had their appeal today for that big penalty that they got after the Daytona 500. It was 100 points. It was 10 playoff points. I mean, he was still, after 3 races, in the negative. Well, they won that appeal, Rod. So all those points were restored. He's back up to, I think, 14th place in points now. Gets all those points back. They don't have to pay the fines. James Small was going to have to be suspended for 4 races. It's unfortunate for Briscoe that he was not going to be suspended for 4 races now. But, yeah, they won that appeal. So that's a big deal because it looked not good for Briscoe at that point, right? You start 100 points in the hole after the first race. That's pretty rough. Sure, he could have had some good weeks. Maybe it'd be hard to point himself in, but he could have got into the playoffs. But even when you do, being minus 10 playoff points, if you don't earn those back throughout the season, then you're starting each round with 10 less bonus points. Just makes it a lot harder to get there. But getting all of that restored and being back to now he's just where he normally was. Yeah, that's great. So I think that that's for the team. It's going to be huge because this could have been a penalty that took them out of the running for a shot at a championship, which a lot of people think that Briscoe could definitely have a shot at.
Well, and it did feel a lot like, I mean, listen, as a parent, you try to dish out punishments that seem to fit the crime, right? And if they raise their voice to you because they're upset because of what happened at school, you don't throw them and lock them in a room for a week and take their phone away and leave and slide plates of food.
This was NASCAR's big sticking point, though. You fuck with the parts that they gave you that are supposed to stay the way they are, and this is what they were going to throw the book at you for. And as you know, Rod, when NASCAR makes a rule, they're super consistent, and they stick with it. And in that case, Austin Cindric not suspended today, which thank God because I bet on him this weekend, right? So, I actually agree with NASCAR on the fact that he shouldn't have been suspended for this, but I do think it does kind of not align with the rule that they said they were going to enforce this year, but missed it. You got mad at Ty Dillon, basically right hooked him last weekend at Coda. And so everybody was like, well, right hook's a suspension, right? NASCAR says, not for this, right? This wasn't too big. They said driver was traveling at a slower pace of speed on a road course versus an intermediate or a super speedway. Dillon had no significant impact or damage, was able to drive on. There was no caution. 1 race suspension did not feel appropriate, was what NASCAR told Bob Pockrass. So instead, they did dock him 50 points, fine him $50K. So the 50 points certainly could be a big thing for him. No playoff points. So if he does make the playoffs, he doesn't have to worry about that part of things. But Cindric, we'll see. Probably wouldn't need to win anyways to get into the playoffs, but probably even more so now going into a 50-point hole.
So basically, Cindric's in a timeout. He's not necessarily suspended. He's just in a timeout. There's go think about what you did, and you're probably going to end up doing it again because it's a road course and you can get away with it. I mean, honestly, Cody, this goes back to our bigger arcing conversation over manipulation, over how you deem things egregious enough to really come at you. Because in a road course, look, when you all are going 45, 55, when these cars that are made to go 180, 190, the urge is going to be there to tap that car in front of you. And you're going to tap that car because people are going to check up. People are going to be going slower. It's the nature of the beast. In pack racing, same type of thing. You're going to be traveling so close to each other that it's going to touch. And can you tell the difference between I meant to touch you and I meant to not touch you? Yes.
Usually,
yes.
This, I mean, that's the thing. This was pretty obvious.
Yes.
I agree that it wasn't egregious enough that he should have been suspended for a race. I agree with that. But at the same time, you made this big new rule. Now you have an opportunity to enforce it, and you're like, well, that's not really what we meant. So it's like where you get into the gray areas of it comes down to NASCAR's discretion, which every rule in the book says, except for NASCAR's discretion, or unless NASCAR says otherwise, or depending on how NASCAR feels on Tuesday, or depending what public reaction decides NASCAR should think. It's all of those things. So I don't know, but just it's the inconsistencies of NASCAR that. But at the same time, I would have been upset if he was suspended, because I don't think he should have been suspended for that. So I don't really know.
It's like every military rule, and I've said this before, it's commander's discretion. It doesn't matter what happens. If the commander deems that it was necessary or unnecessary, then you're at the commander's whim. So it doesn't matter what happens or what the rule states. We can always take it away or put it in if the commander wants it. King checking in, saying good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon, King. Homer saying the books never moved Briscoe's future odds. So I guess they knew something was coming
all along, huh?
Well,
I heard before that only Hendrick wins appeals, but I guess that's not true anymore.
Guess not. Dos Flacco's checking in. Cheers, boys. Cheers. For sure. All right. It is Phoenix, buddy, not the championship race part of Phoenix. And I think we talked about this too in yesterday's episode, in the Cup episode. You can't treat this race like the fall race, because there are a lot different things at stake in this race versus the championship race. And when most of the champions are racing for the title, this is not the case here. I mean, granted, they're racing for the chance to be able to race later on in the final, and they're gathering information, all that other stuff. But this is a standalone race on this track.
Yeah, certainly the spring race, the fall race have differences to them, right? There's a lot more importance on that. I will say in Xfinity, in the Cup Series, I think you do really get guys that are just looking for a vacation, ready to take time off. I think probably less so in Xfinity, because everybody's kind of looking for that next deal. They're looking for what's to that level of Tyler Reddick where they're pretty safe and they can just take it off because they got nothing to race for. But yeah, there can definitely be some big differences in the spring race and the fall race. Obviously, a lot more on the line when it comes to a fall race for a lot of people, a lot less on the line in the fall race for most people, I guess. So it goes both ways.
Yeah, and again, there's still plenty of action to be had. This is, like we said, the first oval track of the season, so these guys get to finally stretch their legs out on a mile track, as it were, and just take some left turns, as opposed to trying to worry about drafting, as opposed to trying to worry about setting up for the next chicane. It's all pretty much muscle memory at this point, and we will take all muscle memory we'll take and we'll bring back to you as we bring you some bets. But first, I want to tell you about Edge Boost. SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at sports books, DFS sites, sweepstakes sites, racetracks, or casinos. And not to mention, you can also earn up to $750 per month in cash back rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And your money is safe. The card is FDIC insured, and the best part, no credit checks, and it is completely free. If you sign up today, use the promo code SGPN. You're going to get better cashback rewards, but better than that, you're going to get instant Tier 2 status, pulling back the velvet rope for you at the club and getting you in to the VIP room if you go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. Tell you about MyBookie.ag. We're brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on every sport, plus props for every game. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. Easy deposit, lightning fast payout using crypto. You can head to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000, plus a $10 casino chip. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN.
TK checking in, Rod. I mean, both races last year were the Allgaier show, despite his best efforts to throw it away in the second run. Really, efforts to throw it away in both, because it was the Allgaier show in both races, and he didn't win either one. So I think we both have some thoughts on that, though, as we continue to go. King also checking in. He's here for the Xfinity episode. He's now a Connor Zilic believer. Welcome to the club, my friend. Kid really is something special. That he is. Plenty of Connor Zilic talk on the show today, Rod. 38 entries for this race. A couple of notable names. The number 17 Hendrick car is going to be back. This time, Alex Bowman, the hometown hero, is going to be driving in that car. Aric Almirola makes his first start of the No, he started at Atlanta, didn't he? Just kidding, not his first start. But he's back in Xfinity with JGR in the 19. Brad Perez in the 45 and Thomas Annunziata in the 70. That's really all the notable guys. So kind of just your same list that we've had for the most part, other than Bowman, Almirola. And we're going to be talking about both those guys in different ways today also.
Non-sexy tracks seem to just keep everybody else away. It's all just, all right, fine. We're not doing Daytona this week. Okay, we're not doing a super speedway this week. No, we're not doing a road course this week. All right, I'm out. Well, just go ahead and be normal and sit in our couch and watch everybody do it. But no, I love it. I love it a lot. All right. Cody, I think it is time as we get set for these 200 laps around this 1 mile track for 200 miles in this GOVX 200 race. Although I will say, so I'm driving home and I hear I hear an ad for a dating app, right? Where you just talk about matchmaking and swiping and all that other good stuff. And then I'm watching a TV show and they're talking about Tinder. And I thought, you know what? This show is a lot like a dating app. We're a NASCAR betting app. You can swipe left or swipe right on whatever bet you want. We're going to give you our favorite picks, and you just swipe whichever way you want and take these picks. I thought that was kind of a good explanation of how the show works.
Swipe right, swipe left. Some of the bets might be available in your area. Some of them might not. You never know. It's crazy.
We found these bets available in your area. Swipe left or right, depending on how you want to take them.
Miles from your house. Okay.
All right, Cody. Who is the first match for our audience this week?
We do have a couple of guys matched up together, Rod, and that's Justin Allgaier and Alex Bowman. They're matched up over on Bet365, minus 115 either way. Give me the Justin Allgaier side of this over Alex Bowman coming down for the Cup Series in the Hendrick Motorsports car. But as TK alluded to earlier, Justin Allgaier has been really, really good at Phoenix. He was really good in both races last year. If you go back to last spring's race, he was dominating, leading with 7 laps to go, blows a tire, hits the wall, obviously doesn't win that one. But then he comes back here in the fall, and really Riley Herbst dominated that race. He led like a billion laps. But Allgaier finished second place to him, secured his first championship. Didn't really need to run him down or pass him, so maybe he took it a little easier, whatever. But he's been really good here. So almost won, within 7 laps of easily winning that race last year, and a second place finish last fall. Go back to the fall of 23, was also third place in that race. He's been top 10 in 8 of the last 11 races here. For Alex Bowman, for being an Arizona guy and this being his home track, he's really always struggled at Phoenix in a general sense. For the Xfinity cars, you got to go back to 2017 for the last time he raced here. Because I was kind of curious, had he done anything in Xfinity before? Because his Cup record not been great here. And so you go back, he was in the Chip Ganassi 42, which was a really good car in 2017. 8th place finish, so a decent run, right? He actually drove the JRM 7 car before that, Rod. 38th place finish in that in 2016. He was in the JRM 5 car, which he finished 17th. Before that, he had all bad cars, really, so not going to hold those against him. But you go back to the Cup Series, Bowman is a guy that I love to look at every single week. I target him for a top 10. You're going to continue to hear about him in the Cup Series, top 10 bets on Bowman. Not at Phoenix, though, because he's not really that good at Phoenix for whatever reason. One top 10 finish in his last 14 starts. He's only got 15 starts here in Hendrick equipment, and only 2 of them have been inside of the top 10. His very first start a long time ago, and then one more recently, but that's it. So he's just not been super great here. I get he's coming down to Xfinity, right? He's going to be one of the most talented guys in this series because he is a regular Cup Series guy that drives for Hendrick. But this is Allgaier's series. This is Allgaier's track. And I'm going to give the edge in this head-to-head to Justin Allgaier over Alex Bowman. The other matchup I like over on ESPN Bet, Austin Hill over William Sawalich. This one is a bit lopsided in my opinion. We're going to talk a lot more about Hill today, but he gets so disrespected by the books, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Like they know where to price him on super speedways, and they do it appropriately, and they just don't. They forget about him everywhere else, and I love it. But this is a pretty easy one for me. Sawalich only has a couple of starts in the Xfinity Series, But he did start here in the fall last year, 13th place finish. Okay, it was his third career start. Not a great run, but it was okay. He was in JGR equipment, so. But he also started at Martinsville, 33rd. He started at Homestead, Miami, 24th. Just not good runs. These guys have run against each other 6 times in the Xfinity Series total in all 6 of Sawalich's starts. Hills beat him 5 times. The only time he didn't was a 25th to a 33rd place finish at Daytona this season. So, kind of throw that out. Really, Hills had the best of everywhere else. Hill has 5 top 10 finishes in a row here at Phoenix, and he finished 4th last spring as well at this track. So I think that Sawalich, I get it. It's a JGR car, right? And that's why he's getting some respect and a big up-and-coming name. He's a name we're going to want to know in the future. I just don't think we're to that point yet with him. We haven't seen it in the few starts we've gotten. It was intermittent, right? And then just open the season, super speedways, road course. Hard to judge too much, but Hill is already at that next level. And even though it's a JGR car compared to an RCR car, the RCR cars aren't that far behind, and Hill's talent gap makes up that difference. So give me Austin Hill over William Sawalich. Give me Justin Allgaier over Alex Bowman.
I will never argue with you on an Allgaier for sure. And yeah, Hill over Sawalich. I don't know why the two are even paired together. It doesn't feel like a fitting match. I don't know why they're even saying that Sawalich is going to be in the same breath. I mean, granted, he does, like you said, run well on occasion, but you got to give it the edge to a guy like Hill, who we used to hammer his top 5 all the time a couple of seasons ago, like somebody brought up in the Discord a little while back. All right, I'm going to give you my head-to-head matchup for this match, and I love. I continue to love. Jesse Love is going to be probably a staple on my betting card for the better part of the season, so if you don't love Love, you probably shouldn't listen to this show. I am going to take him over, drumroll, Sheldon Creed, -120. Look, this 2 car lives rent-free in Sheldon Creed's head. Regardless of what car he drives, that 2 car is still going to haunt his dreams, and he still has no way of figuring out how to get around Jesse Love. Jesse Love has beaten him 2 out of the 3 times so far this season as Jesse Love, and it's so frustrating for Sheldon Creed because he keeps watching this 2 car succeed where he hasn't been able to at all, right? Jesse Love on this particular race track, 2nd place finish in the spring of 2024, a 6th place finish in the fall of 2024, which, by the way, beat Sheldon Creed by 1 position in each one of those. Sheldon Creed finished in 3rd place in 2024 in the 18, mind you, but still, like I said, it doesn't matter what car he's driving. The 2 car still finishes better. Even when he's driving the 2 car, it still finishes better than he does, than Sheldon Creed. The car finishes before the driver. It's weird in that instance. But Sheldon Creed is 0 for 2 in beating Jesse Love in the 2 car, and by 1 position. I mean, this isn't going to be one that's going to be a huge. In fact, I've got a case to make later for another bet for Creed. But even still, even if he does finish somewhere inside of the top 5, Love has proven that he is going to be 1 position better than that 00 car this year. And it's been a not bad season for Sheldon Creed overall, right? He's had his fair share of success. He finished 3rd over in Daytona, so that was a good day for him there. He did have kind of a rougher outing in Atlanta the following week. He finished 14th, and an even rougher outing in Coda last week, finished 12th. So it's been sort of a rocky start, but we talked about it when we talked about the Cup Series. It's been a super speedway, and a road course. It's kind of hard for Sheldon Creed to kind of get his bearings in that 00 early on. But again, doesn't matter. That 2 car haunts his dreams. Doesn't matter where it's at. It's just going to pass him up. And Sheldon Creed's going to go, why does that 2 car look so much better when I'm not driving it? And that's fine. But I do love the fact that they have these guys paired up in a matchup. Jesse Love, Sheldon Creed. I'm going to take the Jesse Love side of it at -120. You can find that on Caesars.
Yeah, this one I think is definitely tough. Creed obviously shows up and is good week in and week out, but Love has been Love. As you said, Rod, you love him, and I can see why. So hard to argue with it too much. Well,
and the fact that the 2 cars already won a race with Jesse Love, where it went so long not winning one with Sheldon Creed. I think we were talking about that the other day in Discord about how Creed's such a great driver, but Jesse Love just winning races before Sheldon Creed. That's the way of the world. So, all right, Cody, where are we going next?
Next up for me, Rod, we are going to stay in the Austin Hill camp. They have got him top 10, minus 120. This is still available over on Hard Rock. It was this on 365. It's already moved to minus 140, so get it sooner rather than later, I would say. But he is still top 10, minus 120. This is some guys were reminiscing in the Discord, I think yesterday or earlier today, I can't remember, but about when we used to just auto bet Austin Hill every single week. He was plus 250, plus 300 for a top 5. We just kept hitting it all the time, and the books never realized it until obviously more recently. We don't get as good of numbers on that, but now it's the same thing. You get top 10s with him, and you're getting him at a great minus 120 just to finish. He doesn't even have to get all the way up to the top 5. He just has to be in the top 10. He's done it 5 races in a row at Phoenix, finished inside of the top 10. Last season, they only run, 32 races? He had 20 top 10 finishes last year. Austin Hill is that guy in the Xfinity Series that's just going to be in the mix every single week. He could go out and win this race. He could just go out and run 10th. He's going to be somewhere in between there, going to be in the mix for you. Minus 120 is a great number for his top 10, so I love it. And then also, Rod, give me Christian Eckes top 10, 2-1. That's also available over there on Hard Rock. Christian Eckes, we don't really have anything to look at in Xfinity Series. He's just made his first couple of starts this season. But in the Truck Series, he's been extremely good here. 5 truck starts here. 3rd place, he finished in the fall race here just last season. 2023 race, they obviously only race once a year because it's just the fall race. He won that 2023 championship race there. He had a 30th place finish sprinkled in there, but 6th, 4th, 9th in his other runnings. Christian Eckes has been really solid here, and yeah, it's a call-it car. At times that can make you pause for sure, but these call-it cars are good enough, right? And we saw good runs out of AJ last year, saw good runs out of SVG on these types of tracks, and Eckes is just a good driver. Think about all the times we bet him in the Truck Series last year and why we did that. Sure, he was in a great truck, but a good driver capable of putting himself in good positions. So yeah, give me Christian Eckes as well for a top 10 at 2-1.
I actually really love the Eckes top 10 part of this one. And the fact that, like you said, you are getting Hill at such a ridiculously less juiced number. I mean, both of this is head to head with Sawalich, and his top 10 number are the same. And honestly, it's just, to me, with both of those cashing, you're still up in the game. Whereas it doesn't make any sense. Is Hill one of those guys that we just take for granted that's going to be, and we just ignore what he's done? Like, I don't get it. There's people that you overlook in life, and I guess Hill must be that guy.
Yeah, it is weird how he just doesn't seem to get respect on the level that he seemingly has earned. I don't know, but you always hear about him like he's kind of the next in line when Austin Dillon retires, right? You think he's going to take that car over, but at the same time, like, nobody's clamoring for him every single week except on the super speedways. I don't know. It's a weird position, but for us as bettors, fucking love it. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take it all day long. Maybe Big Country, maybe not having a boisterous personality kind of buries him with the rest of it. Speaking of not having a boisterous personality, let's talk about Harrison Burton. Holy cow. Harrison Burton, top 10 number. This is where I found a ridiculously great value. 4-1, plus 400. You can get that on Bet365 or Hard Rock. Here's the thing. Harrison Burton, I know he's driving the 25. I get it. I know that it's not the JGR equipment that he once drove. It's not that 20 car that he used in the 2020 and 2021 seasons and got himself the cup right up there with the Wood brothers, right? I know it's not the JGR equipment, but Harrison Burton is still a pretty darn good driver overall. He's 10th in the points right now, believe it or not, after a couple of good, strong runs over the course of the season. In fact, 2 top 10 runs. Rod, they're super speedways. I know. But by and large, he's not afraid to actually mix it up with these guys. He is trying to get himself back in the cup. He's trying to prove that he should have had a cup ride this year. And I will read you the finishes for young Harrison Burton on this particular track in that 20 car. 2nd in 2020 in the spring, 6th in 2020 in the fall, 12th in 2021 in the spring. I know it's not a 10th place finish. He did start 7th in that one, but here's where I think, again, I know it's a 20 car, but I still think that he has the capability of driving a decent car up through the field. In the fall of 2021, he drove all the way from 36 to a 3rd place finish in this race. So he's 3 for 4 in his career, finishing inside of the top 10, right? And 2 for 4 in finishing inside of the top 3. So he's proven that he can do it on this track in decent Xfinity equipment. Well, I guess top tier Xfinity equipment, but I still think that we shouldn't ignore the fact that he has a little bit of confidence going into this race because he has done well. He hasn't gone out and embarrassed himself over the course of the first 3 races. And I think him and that team are out to prove that they aren't just messing around and that they need to log good, solid finishes and be in the competitive mix by the end of the season. And they picked Harrison Burton for a reason, because he's a driver capable of turning in good finishes. He's not somebody that's just going to run around in the 25th position or worse and muck up the track. He's actually going to be in contention. So, like I said, given his success at this track in the past, given where this team's focus is and the fact that they are 10th in points right now, I think that's a good trajectory for Harrison Burton. And I think 4-1 is such a huge prize for a former Cup driver that's down here mixing it up now. So give me Harrison Burton as a top 10, 4-1.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Say what you will about Harrison Burton. I get it. Maybe he shouldn't have been in the Cup Series. It was hit and miss in the Xfinity Series previously in really good equipment with JGR, but he's now an experience. He's got 3 seasons in the Cup Series. Like, he's got a lot of experience. Now he's brought back down to the Xfinity Series, and it's only been road courses and super speedways so far, but it's been a good showing so far. We've seen this car perform well with good drivers in the past. And so I think that we could return to that with him, and he's got the track record at this track. So yeah, I think it's really probably not a guy I would have even looked at. So I kind of like that you brought it up.
Well, it's funny because when I was scrolling through the top of the line, I was like, I don't know. I don't know about this guy because it's such short odds. I don't know about this guy. I kept going. I thought, well, what am I going to do? And then I stopped at Harrison Burton, and because I remember thinking to myself, especially during the course of a couple of the broadcasts when they were like, and Harrison Burton is, or they keep getting Jeb and Harrison all mixed up, which is cracks me up. But they kept talking about the Burtons and they kept talking about Harrison. Oh, there's Harrison Burton. There's Harrison Burton. And I'm like, there is Harrison Burton. Where am I? Why am I overlooking the fact that Harrison Burton's in this race? And then, here he comes finishing 6th at the Daytona. And I'm like, okay, well, what am I doing wrong looking at him this way? So I figured top 10, now that they're giving us top 10s, that's not a far cry, and that's not out of the realm of possibility for young Harrison Burton. So love that number. All right, couple of things in the chat checking up. Walter saying, what's up, guys? Sorry I'm late. That's okay, Walter, we're early. Speaking of early, Laura saying, you care early. Howdy. I think we are early, but yeah. We went a little early for those of you watching on YouTube. Apologies. We want to get Cody back under his blankies with his tissues and his warm tea so he can recover.
Something. I need something.
Gotta love it. All right. Well, here, you will get a quick break as we take a quick break, Cody. Relax those vocal cords and we'll be right back after I tell you about Rhythm. Rhythm is throwing an epic March Madness party and you are all invited. Yes, you. I know you never get invited to parties, so that's why I'm inviting you personally. You want to come? Get there. All Rhythm users are invited to a First Four Watch party Wednesday, March 19th at the awesome Stadium Swim at Circa Las Vegas. You had me at free drinks, folks. Plus, you get to hang out with the guys from SGPN. So if you don't like free drinks, you like the guys at the SGPN, then that's the place for you. And it gets better, as if it could. Rhythm is also giving away a $250 March Madness future for one random lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make it to the party, you can still win the future bet. So come by and use Rhythm to help you fill out your bracket and make some bets while you are there. Rhythm March Madness stats and success from 2024 with UConn winning. The percentage of winners was 39% higher than in ESPN brackets as a whole. Rhythm had 34% of brackets. ESPN had 24% of brackets. Rhythm predicted Duquesne, North Carolina State, and Oakland upsets. 45% of Rhythm's brackets had NC State reaching the Sweet 16. I don't got to tell you how good that is, folks. So you want to go build yours now. Plus a free party, plus a chance to win $250 future bet. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party, PARTY. Let me tell you about Underdog. Underdog is here. NBA, NHL, college basketball, whatever sport you can cash in big with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Underdog is offering a Luka DONCIC discount for every Laker game. Doncic. I told you I'm never going to say it right, so I'm just going to fly right over. I should just let you. I'll say Luka. No, let's see. You got to be right. Luka
Doncic.
Okay, there you go. Discount for every Lakers game for the rest of the regular season. Also, I told him he's going to rest his voice and he can't. Also, for football diehards, pick up projections for select players, 40-yard dash times during this week's NFL Combine. Sign up now with our promo code RACESGPN. Claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN.
Mid-swig of my Gatorade after Rod tells me to rest my voice, and then he wants me to answer a question. Jeez, Rod.
Well, see, the behind baseball on this one is my laptop covers up your bottom screen. So if I'm away from you, I can't tell what you're doing.
So all those funny faces I'm always making at you, you don't even see them.
I don't see them. I don't see them. It's right there. See, I'm moving the laptop and I can't see you. Okay. Anyways. All right, Cody. Where are we going next?
Where are we going next, Rod? I guess that it's my turn to give another pick. And you know what helps me feel better? Eating fast pasta. That's right. Anthony Alfredo, 14-1 for a top 10. What are we doing here, Rod? This is Mr. Fast Pasta himself. Look, Anthony Alfredo, I don't know how many times I have to talk about him, or he just listen to me. It's Anthony Alfredo, right? I love this guy, and it doesn't seem to matter where, or I guess it doesn't seem to matter which car he's in, because he jumps around in different cars, does different things, and he's always decent, or he's always good. So you go back and you look, last year in the fall, 36th place finish, got in a wreck, right? It happens. But last spring, he finished in 10th place in the Our Motorsports number 5 car. The year before that, a 24th in the fall, but spring, hey, look, he's better in the spring. You like that? He finished 14th place in a BJ McLeod Motorsports car. He finished at 14th. So the last 2 spring races, a 10th and a 14th place finish. Couple of other bad finishes back in the Our cars before that. He got in a couple of wrecks and didn't do well. And that happens, but he's at 14-1. That's the thing. This is a long shot, right? A guy at 14-1 that can just put together a good day. And how many times do you hear the broadcast? Wow, look at Anthony Alfredo today, just having a good day. Oh, look at Anthony Alfredo. Oh, by the way, former NASCAR Cup Series driver, Anthony Alfredo. Sure, it was only a season, but he's been all the way up there. He's gotten it done. And he is a veteran at this point, and a veteran capable of last spring finishing in 10th place. 2 springs ago, even in a worse car, finishing within a couple spots of being inside the top 10. 14-1, you know, top 5, it's going to be hard. You get a really big number, but boy, top 5 is asking a lot. There is such a massive difference in the Xfinity Series in particular between finishing in 5th and finishing in 10th that that's why we've wanted top 10s for so long, because it cracks this wide open and gives you an opportunity to bet on guys like this. So give me Anthony Alfredo at 14-1 to finish inside the top 10.
Are you a marinara sauce guy, or are you an Alfredo? Like, I know you like
I'm Alfredo all the time. I mean, look at me. Obviously, I eat a lot of pasta, but I like both. Hey, we actually had some chicken Alfredo last night. It was delicious. And so I'm all in on the Alfredo.
I see Cody sitting at the dinner table and he's like, oh, look, Anthony Alfredo. I've got to go get his odds for a top 10.
That's how I came across this pick. And next week after he hits, we're having steak Alfredo, Rod.
I absolutely love it. Steak Alfredo. All right. If you bet enough on this next guy, then you'll be eating steak at Outback, not at the whatever like gas station steak you're going to get. No, this is sirloin from Outback, kids. Connor Zilich, the next arrival of the next best thing. Top 5 number. Look at, I mean, I know that it's kind of short, but still 2-1 is a great number for you. So plus 200 for Connor Zilich as a top 5 car. I really just have to point to the fact that he finished 4th here in his first ever start on this track. And it wasn't an if he started in the top 5 and fell back to 4th. No, the kid drove through the field. In 21st place, he started and drove all the way up to 4th place. Not to mention, he finished 4th at Kansas earlier that season. He finished 1st at Watkins Glen to even start his Xfinity Series career. He's coming off of a win at COTA the kid is just fantastic, right? I mean, we already know Connor Zilic and we sing his praises, but I'm surprised that they really did keep his top 5 number above plus money, because for me, this is an easy opportunity for the books to not really lose a lot on a guy like Connor Zilic, because top 5 is not a high threshold for this guy, given the fact that in the ARCA Menard series alone, right, last season, he had those 5 wins at Dover, at Iowa. Are you keeping track? These are all shorter, flatter tracks, right? Michigan, and then that win at Watkins Glen. He had a second at Milwaukee, a second at Kansas. Again, the only bad finish that he had that entire season was at Bristol, in which he led 23 laps in that one after starting on the pole. The track record for success for Connor Zilic, it's mind-boggling for a kid as young as he is, because to me, you know, when you think of these guys, a lot of times they come in, they got a lot to learn, they got a lot to figure out, but Connor Zilic, he's already the real deal. He's already the package. We talked about him last week too. We really harped on the fact that he's going to be good on this road course, because that's the kind of discipline he likes. But guess what? He's not bad on ovals too, and he's not bad on short, flat tracks. So I'm not asking him to win, although we'll be talking about that in a second. I will say that a top 5 at the very least is definitely going to be possible. So give me his top 5 at 2-1. Connor Zilic, the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely love this number and fully back this bet with you. I have more thoughts on Zilic in a bit, so I'll talk about it more in a bit. But
I want to get to this real quick. King said actually spoke with Connor today. Kid is a super talent and a really good guy. Got a new fan. King, how did you talk to Connor Zilic? Yeah, and why are you not hooking us up?
yeah. Get us some digits. Come on, man. But yeah, no, we've been singing his praises. Going to continue to sing his praises. We sung praises against him in the Cup Series, and that worked out pretty good, right? But there will be no singing against him in the Xfinity Series this year at all, for sure. Somebody I don't like to sing against on short, flat tracks, Rod, Aric Almirola, top 3, plus 135. Really, really love Almirola this weekend. You are getting him in a JGR car, which we know are fast, we know are good, especially on short flats. He is the king of short, flat tracks. He has made me so much money over the years, even well before this show, on the short, flat tracks. Like, he was just always the go-to guy. The books never realized it, because that was really the only place he was good at, was short, flat tracks. But now you've got him in elite equipment. He doesn't have John Hunter Nemechek racing against him. He doesn't have Chandler Smith or Sheldon Creed in these JGR cars. Like, he's the lone guy really at JGR that you really have to worry about going up against the JRM car. Sure. So that's why we're taking the top 3 here. And I'm going to talk about his outright in a few, because I'm on him for that too. And we'll get to that. But anybody you can take for an outright, if you can take it for a top 3 for that insurance, I like it as well. If Allgaier goes out and wins this race, you're still cashing on Almirola top 3. Last year in the spring race, he wrecked. That's going to happen. Did finish 3rd place in the fall, so boom, cashed this bet. And that was after starting 38th place. Had to work his way through the field, fight some adversity. And he's just been a great short, flat track racer throughout his career. Love that about Almirola, not going to overthink it. Somebody else that I'm quickly getting on board with Rod here and beginning to fall in love with, Carson Qualpole. And I think last week we really saw, like, okay, hello, kid. What's up? The way he was racing Connor Zilic on a road course with almost no road course experience, absolutely incredible. Well, now you're going to go to a shorter, flatter track, which is his deal. He came up through the late model series. He's the one who replaced Josh Berry in Junior's late model. Now he's come into the Cup Series, right? It's all the same path, and he's a very talented young guy. If you don't know, his dad, Travis, was a Cup Series driver for a long time also. But I wrote in my notes, I literally wrote, saw the fire and talent last week. I love that. You go back and you look at last year in his few select starts, 4th place at Martinsville, short, flat track. 5th place in New Hampshire, short, flat track. 2nd place at Dover. That was a good run there, right? It's not flat, but it's a little bigger too, but it's still a shorter track, so you like it. Top 15 in 6 of his 9 starts he made last year as a rookie, part-time. You love to see that. So really good runs by him. Like, we're going to continue to see him step that game up. So I like Qualpole this week, top 5 at plus 225.
The future of JRM is just so damn bright. Like, I cannot wait to watch these guys tear it up for a couple more seasons and then end up getting a cup
Can't
ride.
wait to watch Qualpole tear it up for a couple more seasons. Zilic is one and done, Rod.
You think?
Oh, yeah. He's in the 99 track. Like, I think it's already a done deal. He's driving the 99 for Trackhouse next year.
Well, okay.
Sorry, Suarez. I love you, but I think Justin Marks would be stupid to pass up on an opportunity to put him in a Cup car. You're not getting rid of Chastain. You're not getting rid of SVG. You're not getting a fourth car because you can't anymore. He's got to promote him, and he's got to do it quick.
Okay, fine. But still, it's bright. At least this season, it's definitely going to be bright. So, all right. Well, I talked about Sheldon Creed earlier and the 2-car just really haunting him. And, it's funny because I picture the Scooby-Doo at the end where Sheldon Creed is pulling up the 2-car and it just Jesse Love is right. It's you, Jesse Love, and not him. So, yeah. But for me, I still think Sheldon Creed is in for a good day. And I think that he can get a top 3 finish, which means Jesse Love's going to have to win this thing or finish second, which, again, is not out of the realm of possibility. But for Sheldon Creed, let me read off his finishes on this particular track. 10th and 14th. All right, that's first couple of starts on this track. But since then, 6th, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 7th after starting on the outside pole and leading 20 laps of this race in the fall. So that tells me Sheldon Creed, king of second place finishes, and a guy that you probably would make way more money on betting on a top 3 every week out of Sheldon Creed, obviously, than you would betting on his outright. But any other bet on Sheldon Creed, because he just loves to finish in second place or even third place on this track in general. So, like I said, this will also cover me as well if Jesse Love gets into trouble early or Jesse Love finishes 1 spot behind Creed or 2 spots behind Creed in the top 5, but not necessarily in the top 3, because whatever I lost on that bet, I'll win back in this one on the 3-1. But I just feel like that's such a big number for a guy that's done it in a couple of different cars. You know what I'm saying? Like, he did it in the 2, he did it in the 18, he did finish 3rd in the 18th in the spring here of last year. So it's not as if it was just the JGR equipment that was good enough to get him into the top 3. He's still a good driver, right? He's still my favorite Canadian driver that's not from Canada, that's actually from California. Like that's never changed. Creed, you still have that soft spot in my heart, but it tears me apart to see that your 2-car is driving past you each and every week. However, I still think he's a talented enough driver to get into the top 3. So 3-1 for something that's happened 3 out of the 4 or 4 out of the last 5 times is something to take advantage of here.
Yeah, I like it. And Matt made this point earlier in the chat too. Who's going to have that card Herbst had in the fall, Mayer or Creed? Don't forget, Riley Herbst, we talked about yesterday on the Cup Series betting episode, but he absolutely dominated this race last fall. And so that's in the Haas Factory playbook, right? They've got all those notes, and they're going to be using it on those guys this weekend. So certainly could be a great day for Creed. And yeah, betting on him to win can be not fun sometimes, but top 3, he's really good for those, Rod.
There are a lot of Creed to win tickets that are lining the gutters of several casinos out there. So unfortunately, we don't want to be holding one at the end of the day. So, yes. All right, Cody, where we go next?
Yeah. So next up, I found this one interesting. So Caesars has all these pre-built, team triples, do this, do that. You always look at them, and sometimes it's like, this one really jumped out to me. So they've got a team triple for JRM, Rod. Connor Zilich to win the race. Look, I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Spoiler, he's one of my outrights. But this kid is the next coming. He's a god. Love him. I'm going to bet on him to win, so I can easily see this happening. Justin Allgaier to finish in the top 5. Talked about him earlier, how great he is at this track, how consistent he is for the most part, except for when his tire blows to 7 laps to go. But he's finished, if you end the race 7 laps earlier last spring, 3 in a row, he's inside the top 5. That's nothing crazy there for that to happen. And then Karsten Kvapil to finish inside the top 10. Well, I just made a case for him to finish inside the top 5. All he has to do for this is finish inside the top 10. Sign me up. And all these together, 30-1. And this is just a great number for, I'm already betting on Zilich anyways. I'm betting on Allgaier because I'm betting on him to beat Bowman, like we talked about, which probably could take a top 5 finish, right? And Kvapil, I'm going to bet in the top 5 anyways. Getting him in the top 10, put them all together, you get a great number here for all cases I'm individually making already. Now they're just piled in together. So yeah, this one really just jumped off the board to me for a pretty good number too. So yeah, I like it. It's Zilich to win, Allgaier top 5, and Quapple top 10, and that's pre-built already over on Caesars at 30-1.
Honestly, that is a very creative way. I love the books for doing that, especially Caesars. I love that team triple because that is a very creative way of kind of tossing all of those into it. And I mean, it's a parlay you probably could have already built together, but honestly, Cody, I never really thought about doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it never really crossed my mind to parlay a team in that capacity. So maybe it's just me. I don't know, but
yeah. And sometimes like some books will let you or some won't. I know like you'd given out Gibbs and Busher top 10 yesterday. And then somebody mentioned if you did it on DraftKings, but at the time DraftKings didn't have top 10s out. So you couldn't be pre-built it. So yeah, I mean, if you can parlay it for a better number or something, do it. Right. But this one's easy right there to click for you. And I like the number anyways.
Me too. Speaking of numbers, hey, listen, if you're listening out there and you want to sponsor a segment, there's a couple of segments that we do on this show that are ripe for sponsorship. One of those is Cody's Car Lift, which we now have a cool graphic for. And the other is a winning car number. So if you are an accountant firm or something that loves to deal with numbers, this is probably the segment for you to sponsor. And I will gladly read whatever read you want because I tend to gravitate toward the winning car numbers all the time because it just feels like there's always such good value in these, and there's a way to find just an opportunity to win money on these car numbers. And so I'll go right back to the well again. This is my winning car numbers brought to you by your name could be here very soon. I'm going to take the winning car. And so look, a lot like I did yesterday, it was difficult because I was looking at the band numbers, right? The 0 to 9, the 10 to, 10 to 19, and then there's 20 to 20. But none of those really made sense because a lot of them scare me out there. Oh yeah, the TurboTax winning car number. Ooh, TurboTax, if you're listening, it's tax season. I could sure use some extra write-offs from you. But I'm going to just go ahead and take the actual number, and that's 17.5. And because the over side of this is at plus money, I'm going to take the over side of this. Okay, so 17.5. It gives you. It doesn't give you Alex Bowman, but it gives you Aric Almirola, right? It gives you Austin Hill, who we just said is just ignored. It gives you Harrison Burton, which I don't feel good about betting outright, but if he wins and he's on the other side of this, that's fine. I love it. It gives you Ryan Sieg, who Cody talks about 1.5 million different ways. It gives you Sam Mayer. It gives you Anthony Alfredo, who we just made a case for earlier. And more importantly, it gives you Connor Zilic. That is the one right there where I think because you get plus money on this one, and should Connor Zilic not win, and it's like Austin Hill, it doesn't break your heart, right? It is a loaded field on the underside of this. And I think I made the case for the under on yesterday's episode because of the fact that it was a loaded field. And it is sort of loaded, but I mean, you get Sheldon Creed, who, okay, could win this one. We talked about maybe not. He'll probably finish second. You get Carson Quapple, still a good candidate for a top 10, maybe not a win. You get Jesse Love, who really could win this one, and that's fine. But after that, it's like Alex Bowman's the only person that scares me on the other side of this. I'm not scared of Sammy Smith.
Does Alex Bowman scare you in the Xfinity race this week?
No, not really. But even still, too, and for me, Justin Allgaier, and I'll talk about him in a second, if he wins, then I'm covered in a different way. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's pick your poison on the bottom half of that, who you think is going to win. The other half gives you at least 3 or 4 good options on that side that, you can root for and have fun with. So give me the over 17.5 winning car number at plus 120.
Yeah, I like this a lot. And the under is like the price is not
minus
good.
150, isn't it? Like
yeah.
minus 160.
And you get Bowman. Okay, I get it. It's a Hendrick car. It's a Cup guy. I'm just like I talked about earlier. I don't foresee Bowman having a great day. He's got to have some respect to the name. Sure, Allgaier scares you a lot because it's Allgaier at Phoenix, right? But hey, maybe you just bet him outright and then you're good anyways. And then like Jesse Love, yeah. But really, you know what? We're on the other side. You get Zilic, most importantly. You get Almirola. Love both of those. You get Austin Hill tossed in there. You get Sam Mayer tossed in there. I just think you've got more bigger fish on the other side, really outside of Allgaier being the big one on the underside that scares you the most. So, yeah, plus 120. I agree with you. And again, these bets are just fun because it keeps you, if you're looking for action, you want some sweat till the end, you bet on one guy and he wrecks. Okay, but now you get you got other guys in this number range that they're going to keep you in the mix till the end.
Well, statistically speaking, there's way more cars on the other side of 17.5 than there is under. So you have a lot more of the field to have fun cheering for, in a sense. All right, Cody. Well, then I think it is time to give out our outright winners. Who are you backing to win this race?
Yep, I'm going with Aric Almirola, plus 425. Love him. Short, flat guy. In the fastest cars out there. And we've talked about the JGR stable being weak this year. That's why there's been a lot of JRM talk on my side of the card this week, Rod, and probably going to be how the season goes. But I love Aric Almirola, plus 425. The number's good enough for me. Give it to me. Connor Zilic is 14-1 still on FanDuel, down to 9-1 on some other books. So get over to FanDuel, get that bet in. Connor Zilic is the next coming. I talked about Kyle Larson yesterday. If you're going to give me a generational talent, a top guy at a low number, I'm going to take it. And that's what you're getting with Zilic here. Don't really care what he's done. Don't care what he hasn't done. Don't care that he hasn't run a lot of races. He's in a fast car. He's a great driver. We've already seen really good things from him. And really, fourth place finish here in his one career start at the track last year. And it was only his fourth career start in the Xfinity Series at all. He already had a win, obviously, winning at Watkins Glen. Excuse me. And then, fourth place here in the fall in the championship race, all this stuff going on, and has a great run. So got to love seeing that. He's a stud. So 14-1 for Zilic. And then, Rod, for a long shot, talked about him earlier for a top 10, but 50-1 for Christian Eckes. This number just doesn't seem right. I don't know that Christian Eckes is going to come out and just dominate this race. I don't know that I see that happening, but could he put himself in the right position where Allgaier blows a tire with 7 laps to go and he pounces from third or fourth place and wins this race? He absolutely could. He's won here before in the Truck Series. We see these Kaulig cars are capable of winning on ovals. AJ did it last year. We've seen some Haley stuff. They can get it done, and Eckes is a very talented driver. So give me Christian Eckes at 50-1 as the long shot.
Yeah, so Christian Eckes, when he actually catches on, I think it's going to be absolute trouble for everybody else too. Because him, Heim, right? These hot shots from the Truck Series that are coming up, when they finally settle in, and it's weird to watch because we watched them dominate so much in the Truck Series, and now we're turning around. We're talking about Zilic and Quapple actually in JRM just kind of creeping up faster than they did. It just makes me wonder when the rest of everybody catches up. This Xfinity is going to be so competitive over the next couple of seasons. So gotta love it. All right. Well, we talked about it just a second ago, and I'm gonna plant my flag in Justin Allgaier's court because he's at plus 425 on Caesars to win this race. And I said I know that the winning car number I thought was going to be under or over 17.5 rather, but this is the way where I get in on Allgaier where it's not going to kill me if I don't win this winning car number bet because at plus 425. I mean, we talked a little bit about him, but we didn't necessarily lay out his actual success on this one. 6th place in 2022, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, 7th. He's just been so close to winning this particular race or this track even, and hasn't gotten it done yet. Now he's the reigning champion. Now he's the guy that's coming back, and really the monkey is off his back. The monkey's gone. He doesn't have to drive around with that hanging over him anymore. He's a champion. So now he could just go out and run this race and have fun. And for Justin Allgaier to run this race and have fun without a whole lot of too much pressure, because you're always going to put pressure on yourself, but at least with a little bit of the pressure alleviated from him, this could be the chance where he gets his first win on this track. Oh, wait, I'm just reading off Sheldon Creed's numbers. God damn, Rod. Justin Allgaier.
Allgaiers are even better.
Allgaiers are even better. See, this is what happens when you have tabs open in your head and not on your computer. But Justin Allgaier, look, 29 races on this track. All right. He has got way more races than the next person on there, which is JJ Yaley, right? JJ Yaley is the next guy with the most, and he's not even really a factor. But 2 wins, 11 top 5s, 10 top 10s on this one. His last few races on this one, 2nd in 2022, 2024, obviously when he won the championship. 29th in the spring, but Cody talked about that. He was dominating that race, led 52 laps, had problems, but 3rd in the fall, and then 3rd again in the fall of 2022. So yeah, really fantastic. Those 2 wins on there. If he does end up coming out and winning another race to add his 3rd into the mix, That's going to be fantastic. It's going to be Justin Allgaier plus 425, even though I can't read stats.
Yeah, I mean, if he can avoid those pianos falling like it did last spring with 7 laps to go, he should be the guy to beat in all honesty this weekend. So hard to argue against it.
So it's funny to me because there are people out there that get so cracked out about like when you get something wrong. It just when you're trying to do 16 things at once, my eyes land on whatever tab is open and I read with gusto and I scroll up and I see Sheldon Creed smiling face at me. I was like, yeah, that didn't seem right, but I'm doing it with conviction. So
hey, you sell it even if it's the wrong stats. It's okay.
That is true. But the end result is this: Justin Allgaier plus 425 to win this race. All right, get out your pen and paper. It's time for me to go over the bets correctly this time for this GOVX 200. Which, by the way, Cody, have you searched around on GOVX being a veteran?
Is that is that what GOVX is? I never heard of it.
So GOVX, yeah, it's a site where it's got a lot of the products and offers for veterans. It's really, listen, if you are a veteran or somebody who has served or even a government employee, there's so many fantastic deals on GOVX. Not that they're sponsoring us or anything, but like,
oh, that's why sponsorship works though, because I've never even heard of them, and I am a veteran, so now I'll have to check it out. Yeah, also, I would like to address, how dare you just pass over the former F1 champion JJ Yeley like that, Rod? I've even got the JJ Yeley sign behind me here. Respect to the 2009 Formula One world champion.
But see, that should just double down on my mistake too, because even if big broadcasters get that wrong, I can definitely get it wrong. So, all right, let's go over the bets. Get out your pen and paper. And for those of you on the YouTube, here are my picks for this GOVX 200 at the Phoenix Raceway. Started you out with Jesse Love over Sheldon Creed, that 2-car. Like I said, just finds a way to get above the driver that once drove it. Then I'll give you Harrison Burton as a top 10 car at 4-1. Connor Zilich, a top 5 car at minus 105. Actually, that should be plus 200. So sorry about that. If you're screen grabbing, grab that top 5 number where you get it. I changed the name, didn't change the number. So then give me Sheldon Creed as a top 3 car at plus 300. I'll take the winning car over 17.5 at plus 120. And then Justin Allgaier to win this race at plus 425. Cody gave you Justin Allgaier over Alex Bowman at minus 115. He tossed in Hill over Sawalich at minus 120 as well. And then he said Hill top 10 at minus 120 is the hammer. And then Christian Eckes as a top 10 car at 2-1. Fast Pasta as a top 10 at 14-1. Aric Almirola as a top 3 car at plus 135. And Carson Kvapil as a top 5 car at plus 225. The fun team triples are out there. So Sawalich to win, Allgaier is a top 5, Kvapil is a top 10. Put those all together, it gives you 30-1. And then for his outrights, Aric Almirola plus 425, Connor Zilich at 14-1, Christian Eckes as the long shot to win at 50-1. There it is, Cody. Phoenix is complete. All that's left is DFS tomorrow.
All that's left, DFS, underdog picks tomorrow, Rod. I'm going to go not talk for the rest of the evening and hopefully have somewhat of a voice left tomorrow. But yeah, excited to come back. And boy, underdog was a lot of fun last weekend.
Yeah, it was for you, especially. You were hitting like 16 million X your money. So going to load up and do it all again this week.
Was a good weekend, and we'll try to replicate it this week.
All right. Well, then in the meantime, let everybody know where they can find you. Don't bother him tonight. Let him rest, and then we'll get back to you guys tomorrow.
Follow me over on the X at Husk_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. And then, yeah, follow the show as well at NASCAR Gambling. Make sure you click subscribe to that YouTube. Subscriber count keeps climbing and climbing, so we appreciate all the new people checking it out. And if you are new and just discovered this, hit that subscribe button, click the bell. You can jump in live like all these wonderful people have. And we hope to see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we are creeping ever closer to that 1,000 mark, and that's going to be fun when all the goodies unlock at the 1,000 subscriber level. So help us get there. We'd love to get there by the time the summer hits. So, yeah, if you guys got friends out there that are looking for a home, we'll be happy to have them. Just hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. There's a link in about everything I got going on, whether it is here, whether it is the back road. Make sure you're checking out Seth and Elliot over there on In Between Media channel this week, breaking down this race for you as well. A lot of good stuff, and I'll join them in a couple of weeks to break down the next race as well. All right. Love you all. We will see you tomorrow for more fun. And until then, let's go racing. Get well soon, Cody, and let it ride.
Come on, Lord. Another piece of